Hi, I'm Karen Holton, ET and Angelic Experiencer, author, exopolitical ambassador, ascension coach, and content creator.
And I'm Joan Widen, clairvoyant medium, Reiki master teacher, energy healer, body, mind, and soul coach, and podcaster.
And this is the Unseen Nexus podcast.
Have you ever truly wondered what lies beyond the veil?
Or want to learn more about our transdimensional neighbors?
Join us as we unravel the mysteries of existence, from profound spiritual awakenings and ancient wisdom,
to interstellar visitors, cutting-edge discoveries, and the complex conspiracies that bind them all.
We're on a journey to uncover the truth about humanity's extraordinary place in the cosmos.
Get ready to challenge your perceptions and expand your understanding.
Your spiritual mashup has begun.
And we're back with another exciting episode of Unseen Nexus. How you doing, Joan?
I'm doing great. And you?
This is I'm doing so good too. I just want to say hi to a couple of people in the chat. We've got Denise. Denise is amazing. She's our moderator. She shows up for every show. She puts amazing information in the live chat. And I just want to say thank you, Denise. I appreciate you so very much. Rodney, hi, Rodney. Nice to see you. He says Denise is a rock star. And Joan says she sure is. Oh, we've got Fearlessly Phoenixing in the audience. She says, whoop, whoop. And she agrees. Denise is an incredible mod. Thank you, everybody, for coming today.
Yes, thank you. Glad to have everyone here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So today's topic, we're going to be talking about angels, angelic contact. What are they? Where do they live? What do they eat for breakfast? Where do they come from? And how do people experience them?
They are amazing beings. They just appear usually out of nowhere, and sometimes timely, sometimes they just appear, right? So, and so hello, Fearlessly. Sorry, I'm just getting back into this. Thanks for your comment. That's great. Glad you're here. Angels amazingly are, and some people could actually argue that angels could also be extraterrestrial. Mm-hmm. Right, Karen?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, depending on how you look at it, for sure. So, I was taught, like from going to Christian churches in the past, that angels live in heaven, that they're messengers of God. So we're not going to see them unless God has a message for us. And usually, at least from my experience, a lot of Christian religions, they paint God as being some kind of a guy who always male, who watches out, sees everything you do. It reminds me of Santa Claus, knows when you've been naughty and knows when you've been good. And bestows blessings on those who are deserving and good enough, and punishes the wicked. And I have a very different understanding of what I believe God is. So anyway, I know it's bullshit because I actually was a Jehovah's Witness for 17 years, and it wasn't until I quit, after I quit, that I actually ended up having angelic contact. I think angels could be ETs. A lot of these orbs have angelic looking energies about them, like looks like wings and things like that. They could be, they could be, I believe they're from the spiritual realms. And I think all the realms and dimensions coexist with us at all times. We just can't see it because our perceptions are so limited. The bandwidth of like the light frequencies that we are able to pick up with our eyes, the auditory spectrum, the electromagnetic, which is what gives us our sense of touch, all of that is so limited, I believe. And also, I think the science would also back me up that there's a whole lot of stuff going on around us that we may not be able to see. So by altering frequency, we can shift from domain to domain. That's basically how I am seeing it.
And I'm gonna reiterate what you say too. For me, angels are all around us. They aren't necessarily energetic beings all the time. I also do feel like angels take human form and also live among us, right? So I'm kind of like, if you remember that movie, City of Angels, I think it's called that. I'm pretty sure it is, with Meg Ryan.
With who?
With Meg Ryan and
I probably saw it. I probably did, but
anyways, it was just angels living amongst us. And some chose to decide, no, they want to be here and not just serve. And then they become human. So for me, I'm with you. There are a lot of contradictions in the Bible and in the teachings. Angels are only good for when he sends, right? I feel God is omnipresent. He is, I don't like, the energy is more masculine, yes, but do they actually have a quote unquote sex? I'm going to say no, because it's a divine being, and right, divine beings have the divine masculine and divine feminine, which mix and match. And so it doesn't necessarily mean they're one or the other. It's just all encompassing. Don't you think, Karen?
Yeah, well, I don't think they reproduce the way humans do. I don't think any of the beings really do much the way humans do. Some ETs, of course, procreate, but yeah, I don't know. But I also see God as being eternity and infinity, and it's an active force that's in everything. Some people call it universal consciousness. And the thing that astounds me about it, because I've actually had contact with it itself, and it is amazing and has blown me away every time it happens, that universal consciousness or God is completely aware of me, and I can be completely aware of it. And to tap into that frequency, into that energy field, is just awesome. It's probably the most awesome experience I've ever had, and I've never experienced anything but love from that source. And so there's that, and some people call it source. I think that we all have a purpose. Everything that's created has a purpose. And I think the angels, they are definitely messengers, but not necessarily giving us a specific message from a specific God. I see them as coming often when we're under great stress or duress. Like Chris Bledsoe, he had his experience when he was at the most intense time of his life, faced with the option of suicide. He had a really tough time. And that's when the ETs, which took him to the realm where he could see what is called the lady. And he believes that's an angel. And he's been able to communicate with her. Well, she appeared as a female. And so I think that they do come with messages, but I think their messages are more of self-discovery and support and love. But then I've seen videos where, somebody's riding their bike and a truck comes out of nowhere and a bright light in humanoid form grabs the guy on the bike and puts him safely someplace else, and the truck
Yes.
goes by and it disappears. So, oh my God, this is a huge topic, and I think that there's no one correct way of perceiving it. That's my opinion.
Well, definitely, right? Like, for, again, as creator or source, again, for me, everything is all knowing and all loving, and we are part of that, right? Because he says, I breathe life into each one of us. So
Mhm.
if you really want to break it down like that, we are gods within ourselves, right?
Mhm.
And absolute angels. And I'm gonna, on your take on the story you just said, I'm going to say that's absolutely true. When I was younger, my dad would, he asked me to cross the street to help him with a car or something on the other side, and I wasn't paying attention, and I ran. You're a kid. I'm a kid. I went to run across the street, and I didn't see any cars, but like when I went to run, I actually had done this kind of thing, and
Mhm.
a car zipped right through, like right in front of me, like I would have gotten smacked big time, but something pulled me back. And it wasn't
Mhm.
apparent to because my dad was on the other side. My mom was in the house. No one else was there. Right. And then
Mhm.
it's so strange. Again, the same thing on the way back. It happened again. But I think that time, I believe that might have been my dad. I don't know. But my dad wasn't visibly shaken. Do you know what I mean? So if that was my
Mhm.
dad, I think he would have been visibly shaken. I just
Mhm.
find that they just come when they need to come. You don't necessarily have to call them. They will, they're just here. We're
Mhm.
we're creators beings. So
Mhm.
whenever, if we need them, or if, I'm going to say this, if it's not necessarily our time yet and we have things to do, when, like, within our lifetime that we haven't done yet, meaning
Mhm.
like help them with their word, or help others understand, or the spread kindness and love, I believe they step in, right? There's,
Mhm.
I've had numerous readings where angels have stepped in, where someone should have
Mhm.
died and they don't.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. It's true. It's true. Rodney has an interesting comment. He says, "Strange how a tree can suddenly fall on you, though." Well, absolutely. I don't like. Actually don't believe, well, I do and I don't. I don't believe in guardian angels as we've been told. We get told that children all have guardian angels looking out after them. Well, if that were the case, then I'm guessing there would be no child trafficking and there would be no pedophiles. So, I mean, begs asking
that's
that
huge.
question. But I do believe that angels can be there without actually appearing in a physical three-dimensional reality to give you the support and understanding and direction to recover from those horrible things that have happened to us in childhood. And so that's a little different way of looking at it, but that's what I've come to believe that my guardian angel is. My guardian angel did not prevent me from any of the awful things that happened for me in my life. And I also believe that the way I am now and what I'm doing now could not have happened if I hadn't been through everything I've experienced in my life. And how do I know? Maybe the angels actually did lessen the impact and the intensity of the trauma. I don't know. Like I might never know the true answer to that. So I think angels can definitely be invisible, and they can communicate with us trans-dimensionally or interdimensionally. I think they can be physical. They can look like real people. Fearlessly Phoenixing in the chat was talking about how she got lost in France when she was only 14 years old, and a woman found her and gave her a car ride to the exact address she needed to go, and later discovered that there was no such car and there was no such woman, and yet her experience was real. So I thought that is really interesting too. So as far as divine protection goes, I think in this three-dimensional realm, it's our domain, and we are three-dimensional physical while we're here for soul evolution. And we also are here to learn certain lessons and to overcome issues and become super strong and even more powerful and fearless. That's sort of my take on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like things like that happen all the time. Sometimes I have felt like some earth angels have come to sometimes test to see what you would do in a free will choice sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And
yep.
You're right. Angels aren't here to change our trajectory. They can help if, again, like I said before, I don't like if you haven't, and it's one of those things like a tree can fall on you, but then they go, wait, you weren't supposed to be here, right? But you didn't listen to the other thing. Anyway, like all of those different things, I just feel like they can intervene, but at the same time, they're not to really intervene, right? I would say that more the ones that intervene that want to, I would say would probably be past loved ones. Does that make sense? Where they go, and then so people call them their quote unquote angel. But it's not necessarily an earth angel or an angel per se.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, of course, most people on earth are lacking the understanding, and it's not our fault. It's that we've never been taught how many realms there are and the pantheon of possible entities. It's absolutely mind-boggling. I wanted to tell everybody, those of you who have not yet read my book, in there I go into detail about my angelic experience. But what happened for me is I was at a very low point in my life, and I was actually seriously contemplating suicide. And the angel said that I could leave if I wanted to, because there are exit points. All of us, we can leave whenever we want. It doesn't really even change that much, because we're loved and valued regardless of how long or short our lives are. We're all important. And contrary to a lot of religions, there is no sin that can separate you from universal consciousness, from the love, from the angelic realms, things like that. But anyway, what they did was, this was interesting. They offered me a gift, and I had no idea what they meant by a gift. Like, they didn't explain what they meant by a gift. They just said that if I chose to stay, they'd give me a gift to help me with my journey. So it took me a couple of, I said, do I need to tell you right now? Because I can't think of anything. They said, no, just let us. We can hear you, see you, everything all the time anyway, which was kind of cool, but kind of not when I think about going to the bathroom and things like that, right? They're not interested in those things, but I'm just saying. And so when I thought about what I wanted, I realized what I really needed was wisdom, because without it, I was just going to keep making the same mistakes, not learning my lessons. I have no idea why I'm such a hard nut to crack. And so I asked for wisdom. And what happened is, like, I thought they just pour the wisdom into me and I'd suddenly become super wise and my whole life would change. It didn't work that way, not at all. It happened through the unraveling of and experiences that I experienced every day. And some were good and some were bad. Some were really bad. But the difference was I now had a new perspective. I was able to look at my situation through different eyes that I never could before. And through facing my challenges and seeing the different understanding of reality, I was able to learn and experience and gain wisdom. So that's how it was for me. So it's like, it definitely came with enormous effort on my part. It wasn't just like, here, have this, and suddenly your life is great. So I think a lot of it, our contact can depend on our expectations. I don't know. What do you think,
Absolutely.
Joan?
It's all
Sorry,
like,
I call you Denise all the time. I don't know why. Joan,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's all good. It's all good. We just give more love to Denise. You're right. Right. For example, when I was born, I was born in the middle of the night, and it was martial law at the time.
Wow.
So, you're not allowed out after a certain time, and you're not allowed to go out until the morning time at a certain time. Right? And I was born in the middle of that. I was born at 1:59 in the morning. So, of course that's not, right? And it was a garbage truck that actually took my mom and dad to the hospital so I could be born.
Wow.
But so we did not, and so I'm still here, right? So there has to be some sort of divine intervention to get to that. And you're right, like where I am today, I believe it's also because of all the things that I've seen and witnessed and done. I wasn't a happy kid at first. Like my mom would tell me, like, oh my goodness, you cried all the time. I can't understand why. Like I just, obviously, I honestly think it's probably because I was born in a hot country and I don't do hot really well. Because I think when I came to Canada, I didn't cry as much. It was cold here.
Interesting.
Right? But then I was displaced because, and then I didn't like to leave my mom's side. But again, with that, I'm going to tell it's probably because there were spirits around me all the time. And that, again, brought that fear. So there's all these different things and experiences, right? So, which make it so interesting and how angels can come about and be part of our lives because they just are, right? So, like my niece, that's what happened. She got lost and she was walking. She was crying and she was walking. And I think she was only 6 or 7 because she decided to go for a walk. She was upset with her parents. And then she got lost and same thing, a lady, and this is a small, like, I don't even think it was a town, so maybe it was like a village at the time, right? And a lady knew her name and said, do you want help getting home? And she said yes, and she took her hand, walked her home, and no one's like, we don't know who that is. And everyone knows who everyone is in a small town / village, right? Because everyone knows. And this lady just happened to be walking.
Interesting. Yeah. Yep. I just wanted to say, Fearlessly Phoenixing says, what if the one who is protecting us is actually just another one of our own soul fragments? I think that's also very positive. Possible, yeah. I have heard that when we go up into the 4th dimensional reality, there's some overlap between you and I and everyone. When we go up to the 5th, we could be 8 people sharing the same soul. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I've heard. But it does seem to support the idea that we're soul fragments, and maybe it's another one of us or part of us that's actually coming to help. I also wanted to say that I think it's important for each one of us to see our own potential as being angels. And I'll just give you an example. All my life, I always find myself in circumstances where somebody really needs my help, but it happens just coincidentally, like there's no planning. So just give you a couple examples. One time I was on the ferry and I was getting on the ferry to go from Vancouver Island to the mainland of BC, lower mainland coast. And as I was getting on, there was this guy, East Indian guy, and it's relevant. I'm not being a racist. And there's this East Indian guy, and he's got this really old, frail woman on his arm. And he gets to where you load onto the ferry, and he just sends her on her own. And she can barely even walk. And I went up to her and I said, "Do you need help?" And she just grabbed onto my arm. At this point, I didn't realize she didn't speak any English. So I could tell that she was distressed and I was worried about her. So I took her in and I found her a seat, but I could tell that she was distressed and I didn't know why. I couldn't speak to her. So I actually took her. She held onto my arm. Poor thing could barely walk, and we went around to different brown people. I'm sorry, I know this is sounding racist. I do not mean it, but I mean, this is what really happened, okay? So I found different brown people who I thought might be of the same ethnicity and asked, "Can you tell me if you can speak her language? Because she needs help and I don't know what to do for her." And finally, I found after 3 or 4 tries, I found a woman who could speak to her in her whatever language from India. India is a big place, lots of districts and lots of different languages. It's not all the same. So, and she told me, yes, she needs to go to the bathroom. And I went, "Oh, of course, thank you." So I took the old woman to the washroom. She was in there for quite a while, but eventually she came out and I helped her back to a seat. And then I sat her closer to this other woman who spoke her language. And I said, "Please, please, can you ask her if she needs anything, if she's okay? And, just make sure she's okay." And she talked to her. She says, yeah, she's fine. She just really needed to go to the bathroom. So after that, the ferry docks on the other side. I have no idea what to do with this woman. She'll never be able to find her way off. I'm not trying to make fun. It's just kind of
it's
the way
truth,
it was.
right?
Yeah. And so I help her off the ferry and I'm walking around where people meet their loved ones. And finally, there was a group of East Indian ladies in their beautiful outfits, traditional outfits. And they came and they got her. And she started telling them about me looking after her on the ferry. And they were so grateful that I had helped this old woman. I don't know who she was to them. I know nothing. I didn't speak anything, not even one word in their language. So I left there and I thought, what would have happened to that woman if I hadn't helped her? So there's just like one example. Another example, also on a BC ferry, was a little boy standing there bawling his little eyes out. I says, "Honey, are you lost?" He says, "I can't find my mom. I can't find my dad." I said, "Well, if you want to trust me, I'll take you to somebody who can find your mom and dad. Is that okay?" And he said, "Yeah." And he held my hand and I took him to the chief steward office and said, "This boy's lost. He can't find his parents. Can you help out?" And so then they put on the, loudspeaker, "Oh, someone's lost a little boy. He's here in the office. You can come and claim him," right? And what would have happened to that little boy if some pervert had come along? God knows what. I mean, I'm just saying, right? So I'm not saying I'm the greatest person in the world. I'm just saying these circumstances just happen for me. And I do what I can in those circumstances. And I know I did the right thing. And that's enough. I don't need money. I don't need accolades. I don't need anything. But this has happened to me over and over again all my life. And so I think that we also can be angels a little bit if we want to be. And I encourage everyone to do that. And it means a little inconvenience, but you've done something really important. So sorry, I'm rambling on here.
It's all good. But so see, Karen, in those instances, one could also say, were the angels testing you to see if you would do the right thing?
Too.
Would you actually go and help this little boy? How do you know the little boy actually belonged to someone? Maybe he was an angel.
I don't know.
Right?
But I did what I was compelled to do.
Yeah.
And Tennessee Kentucky Bigfoot says that archangels might be trying to get back, and some call it our higher self or our Holy Spirit. Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Absolutely.
So, another thing that's happened to me, sorry, I'm going on and on here a bit, but another thing that happens to me is when someone does me dirty, when someone does a dirty, rotten, stinking thing to me, which makes my life harder, separates me from people that I was forming community with. I mean, I've had everything happen to me in my life, good and bad, or hurt me in some way deliberately. Like, there are some really messed up people out there. I'm just
Terrible
going to say it,
people.
okay?
They're terrible
And I
people.
don't know what their story is. I'm not going to make excuses for them. Some people are just rotters. I don't know why. It's what they choose. Anyway, I also believe that the angels take note and are aware. And so what that does is sometimes I feel like I'm a device that is being used to show what other people are really like. And what that does for me is it helps me to just shake the dust off my feet and quack like a duck and then get on with my life, and not carry the burden of even remembering what happened or keeping count of the injury. I don't know. Does that make any sense to you guys?
I think it does. Like it's honestly, like Rodney says, it's like do the right thing, especially when no one's watching. Right?
Especially when no one's watching. Yeah.
Right. Because it's easy to do the right thing when everyone is watching, and not so much when no one is watching, because it's easier to walk away, right? But I agree. Like part of us, like for my niece, for example, that could have been her older self, right? Because you're right. There are how many dimensions going on all at once.
Exactly.
And we are
we ever really alone?
Right? We are in each dimension. So what was that us? Was it our own selves? Because they're like, oh, there's this incident, it's going to happen. And then they just go and do it. Right? There's so many different things. Like I know one time I did, like for some reason, I was looking outside, and I lived downtown. And at the time in Calgary, downtown, in the part that I lived in, which is not quite East Village, but the start of it, and it was cold. And I happened to look outside, and I saw an older gentleman, and he kept kind of like holding his head and then walking, and then he'd turn around and hold his head, and he was walking, and I was just like, he looks confused, right? But then I was going to go get my coat on and go to him, and I got told, no, call 911, call the police to do a check, because you can see him, and because he kind of looked agitated from afar, right? And I'm, as you know, I'm not a very tall lady. So, and he was tall, so I thought, okay,
horizontally challenged.
That's right. So then that's okay. So when I called them, and then I watched, right? Because I stayed on 911 until I could see that the police were with him. And they said, okay, the police have him. And they're like, thank you so very much. We have been looking for this man, because he was actually in the hospital on because he did not have all his like memory. He didn't have, so he had just walked out. Someone had kind of let him out of the ward that he was on. And they were scared because it was really cold, and it had been a few hours, and they're like, where's, we can't find him. And the hospital that he was in was quite a ways away from where I was. So they were like, thank you for calling. Thank you. And thank you for not approaching him, because yes, he can be a little bit violent if he doesn't know you. Right. So I was like, okay, great. And then they took him, and he was fine. And they're like, just the family wants to say thank you. Because I think they called me back later and said the family wanted to say thank you for paying attention and not just going whatever. Which again, most times we might go, oh well, it's not my business. I don't want to get involved. Right?
That happens a lot. They call it, I forget exactly what they call it, something like the observer effect, where somebody can get beaten to a bloody pulp and people are all standing around watching. Nobody intervenes. Nobody tries to pull them apart. Nobody tries to rescue the person. Like, they just watch with glazed over eyes. I don't know what that's about, but I know I couldn't do that, obviously.
Well,
you can tell by my history.
And on it, like me too. I have a hard time looking away, but that's why they say also, if you are in trouble, you shouldn't yell for help because people don't necessarily want to help, right? So if you are in trouble, the word to say is fire, because then everyone looks and they'll come because are you on fire? Where's the fire? And everyone actually will go check it out. And then at that moment, you can say, can you help me get away from this person?
I've heard that, especially in cases of rape. If you yell rape, everyone runs in the opposite direction. But again, you yell fire and they come to see what's going on, just in case it's affecting them somehow, right? And then hopefully you can get some help. Yeah.
So it's crazy to think all these different things. And with angels, I really do feel like they just want the best for everyone. It's like they're almost like, if you will, that aunt and uncle that if you ever need anything, you kind of ask them and they're there for you. Right?
Yep. And I think that it's also okay to call out to them. I've done that in the past, not just them, but any interdimensional being, because they're on a level of reality where they see so much more depth than what we see. They can see the past, the present, the future. They can see what everybody that's involved, what they're about, what their history, like they just can see so much. It would be like someone who lives in a two-dimensional world would have no understanding of depth. They would just be able to go up and down or back and forth. They wouldn't be able to go through walls or anything. But when you go three-dimensional, you could take that person, lift them right out, because you have now the third dimension, which is depth, not just height and width. And they would think this was miraculous. Well, what about the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension, where there's not just an XYZ axis, there's a W axis and a V axis and an S axis. Like, you can't even imagine what that would be like. And so they know a lot more about what's going on. And I think some of them have chosen the path to be angelic or messengers to help us. And I got to tell you, I had a transdimensional experience once where I was this was all done in like lucid dreaming. So I was in this big house and there were people that were looking for me and I didn't want them to find me. I don't know why, just that part of the vision wasn't really clear. And so I'm going down all these hallways and in and out of these rooms, looking for a place to hide. I can't find one. Suddenly I see the image like a portal or kind of a door on a wall, and I open it and there's stairs. So I go in there, shut the door and go up the stairs, and I'm on another plane of reality where I can see everything about them, where they are, what they're doing, what they're thinking, about them. And there's no rooms or hallways up in the higher dimension. It's all just wide open spaces that you can go almost anywhere in any reality. It was really cool, and it helped give me the gist of what it's like to be a higher dimensional being. And so I think they just know so much more than us. They can see so much more than us. And of course, they have a whole different way of processing reality because they have never been, or at least not for a long time, been subjected to programming the way we've had
Right.
intense indoctrination and programming from before we're even born here. So it's amazing any of us can see through it, really.
And also, angels can see all your trauma and your hurt and the
Mhm.
emotions that belong with it. And they just know, right? And their presence is very just calming. It
Mhm.
could come out of like of a all of a sudden like you're like shocked, but then an angel comes in and all of a sudden all of that anxiety, fear, everything just kind of drops, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah,
Yep.
like if we're open to a lot, they will help you. Yes, you can ask, you don't have to ask. Sometimes if you're asking the universe source
Mhm.
or the divine, it's the same kind of asking.
Mhm.
There it's a messenger, right? They're
Mhm.
gonna come and be kind of at service to help you because everyone is still figuring out, since we are divine infinite beings, still trying to figure out how to earth live on earth and be an
Mhm.
earthling. Right? So
Mhm.
again, like they may show up and look like earthlings, but they're not, right?
Yep. I think so.
So
Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says angels to me are my ancestors, God, and beings in physical or spiritual that work for the truth, light, balance. So we have lots of
absolutely.
help if we are open to it. I just wanted to quickly answer fearlessly Phoenixing. She says, was there a secret library? I'm guessing you're talking about when I was having that lucid dream and I went up to that higher dimension. And funny thing you should mention it, there was a secret library. Mm. Oh,
Ooh,
this is interesting too.
yes,
Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot says trees are angels. Oh, trees
for
are
sure.
the source of
For sure.
all kinds of wisdom. Yeah, we got to talk about that one day on this show.
They so are. And if you go up to a tree and the branches are kind of close, if you just stand beside the tree and you ask the tree to touch you, they actually will. Their branches will touch you. And it's not gusts of
Absolutely.
winds and stuff. They just move to come to you if you ask them and invite them to. I love it.
Well, I got another little story. I was living in an apartment on the second floor. My balcony looked out towards the backyard, and then there was a fence, and then there was this huge grove of trees. And the trees I started talking to them, and the trees started growing out towards me. And nowhere else along the apartment did this happen, just in front of my balcony. And I said to them, this always makes me sad, this story. I'm sorry, but I got to tell you. And I told them, I said, if you guys keep growing towards my balcony, I'll put ornaments on you at Christmas time and you'll be so pretty and lovely and I'll do that for you. And then they really started growing towards my balcony. And then one morning I woke up and I heard chainsaws because I had
Oh,
invited them onto my side of the fence. Somebody decided to go out and cut them all down, and my friends got murdered. And I was devastated. I know
oh,
I
I
am
would have been.
totally crazy old lady here, but I'm telling you, I was devastated and I felt responsible. But it showed me without the shadow of a doubt that they're intelligent and they can communicate and they understand. That blew me away. It's another amazing life. All this really cool stuff started happening mostly after I met the angels. So cool, eh?
Well, it's like that, right? Like if there's a rosebud or there's a budding flower, but it's not quite opened, you can like cheer them on and it will open. Right? So there's all these different things, but anyways, digress. But I love the angels. The angels are always there. And in some of the readings that I do, Karen, I find that when someone is really broken and not feeling the greatest, the angels come in and they're like, we'd like to give this person a gift. And a lot of times they aren't feelers. They're not, intuitive or any way. And I ask them to open their hands, and then they get a gift and they can feel it, and their eyes, like everything just light up and are like, what's going on? Are you shitting me? What's going on? And it's because that's how much the angels just love us. They, again, it's like an extension of God, our creator, or divine source, right? Because they just want the best for us. So I love it.
I love it too. I think that we live in this magical, amazing world full of all kinds of intelligences and compassions and sources of love. I spend a lot of time alone, and people sometimes ask me if I get lonely, and I have to laugh. How could I be lonely? I'm surrounded by transdimensional beings. I'm surrounded by bugs. And that's the other thing. You can communicate with bugs. I've been in the forest, and the bugs just love to bother me, mosquitoes and such. And I just take a moment to center myself. I send a message out. I say, hey guys, you can go feed somewhere else. Don't feed off of me. I would really appreciate it if you just left me alone while I'm here so I can enjoy the forest. And boom, all the bugs just leave and don't bother me anymore. And so I think there's a whole lot going on. And of course, it's easier to call us all crazy, put us on meds, and lock us away in an insane asylum or whatever, than to shake up their paradigm so much, which would happen if they took us seriously. So I'm not saying I've been in a mental institute. I haven't, but I have been on meds, and I don't do that anymore. Haven't for like 20 years.
But
just gonna say it.
That's a thing. And then the people that actually need it, they don't put them in an institution or in a hospital when they actually could use it, because they're fearing that it's like their human rights are diminished, right? Again, there's such a weird fine line on certain things, because if you want, like me, right? Like and you, Karen, we talk to spirit. And a lot of people think, again, you're crazy. How do you know it's not like your other personality coming in and telling you things? Well, I know so, because one, it's all in the light, and it's all about doing good, and it's not about harming or doing anything like that, which is typically in the mental health state side, right? But like the angels, they are so, and their energy is so huge and big. It's really undeniable. And if you call them in, you watch, like a feather will fly near you, or you'll see one in the corner of your house that you don't own any down clothing, but they're there, right? Only just to show you. And it's interesting, we keep talking about feathers, or I mean angels, and every time I kind of see something in the corner of my eye, it's a feather floating up outside, and I'm like, there you go, right? So it's all things like that. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. But what all of this requires is an open mind. And if your mind is closed, then your mind is closed. There's nothing you can do. So I never try to convince other people. I share what's real for me. Often I'm met with, I don't know, they make fun of me, they laugh at me, whatever. I don't care. Like, I don't give a rip what they think of me. And it's just so liberating. So liberating when we can get to that point where I just kind of laugh into the face of danger and keep going, because my world is very lovely. And I don't know very many people that have a life like mine. And I'm not saying I'm some special kind of person that I've had all this happen. I have no real idea why it's happened. It just has happened. And I'm not going to deny it. And I'm not going to gaslight myself. I'm not going to do that. And so I think part of it is having an open mind. The second thing is being open to it. And of course, we can ask for help if we need it, want it. And the thing about asking for help is I always ask for proof so that I know I'm not
right,
crazy.
like the sign. But also, Karen, you don't necessarily have to be open to it. It's just that when you're not and something happens, they're less likely to say, oh, yes, or like that was angelic being or anything. They're more likely to say it was a coincidence, right? But they still do come. It's just not as prevalent, I guess, right?
I don't know. There is a lot of people that see things like the way you and me and in the chat, Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot. He says there's only two kinds of humans: the ones that get their information from outside of themselves, and those who get it from the inside. What I love about Matt's, or I should say, Jim's son Matt, is he's plugged right in probably most of the time. He can just, it's kind of funny when you're talking to him, it's just his eyes go up and he's communicating with the spirit realms, and he comes out with the most amazing stuff. He really is very just such well, he and his dad, blessings, absolute blessings to this world. Another thing I wanted to say about so-called being crazy or mental illness or whatever, I think there are a lot of us who've had these experiences, but up until the mid 1980s, if you talked about it, you would be taken to the doctor, who would refer you to a psychiatrist, who would then cut out a piece of your brain to stop you from having those experiences or to try to stop you from talking about it. And mental institutions were such horrible violations of human rights and the cause of so much suffering. People would agree to anything to get out of there. So I think there would have been a lot more historical accounts and books written and all kinds of stuff if it wasn't for the forces that want to shut us up and shut us down. Of course, the mid 1980s, they switched over to pharmaceuticals. You're all going to be learning in the near future about how destructive this has been. And I'm not saying it hasn't helped some people. Like, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm not telling you to go off your meds. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is do your own research. But I am certain that there's going to be some major disclosure over the next year about what's going on with all these meds, because almost everybody I know who's outside of the reality that we all share here, most of them are on meds, and they can't function without them now. So I don't know what to say. Like, I'm not trying to give medical advice. I'm just saying I'm someone who's been on a lot of different realities in my journey here on Earth. And this is what worked, or this didn't work for me. And that's all I could really say about it. But I think that even now there's so much social stigma. You can't go to a Tupperware party and start talking about ET contact or even angelic contact, or it doesn't matter what. If it's outside of the box, there's tremendous pressure to get us to shut up and not share that with other people, which is why we have all these wonderful podcasts and wonderful platforms. And so far, I haven't been kicked off or shut down, which is awesome.
It's one of those things, like even just myself, right? I've been doing this like doing my psychic work and mediumship for now 20 years, but I've had it for all my life, and it was hard to even talk to anyone because like even when I first came out, if you want to say the psychic closet, my mom would call me psycho, right? Like and say, are you sure
Not
you're
nice.
like again that you're not talking to yourself? Like, what is this? Well, I just have that knowing, right? There knowing, and people just don't necessarily understand. Now I just don't really care. Like I shouldn't say really. Like there is like it's come a way where it's like, you know what, I don't give a shit. If you want to think that, then fine. Right? Like, and since I do my psychic work and mediumship, I was just at a psychic fair this past weekend in Saskatchewan, and there was one couple that I felt like they sat down and I'm like, whoa, okay, this is like this is an interview. And the spouse, the husband's like, no. And then as soon as he said that, then it came right through. But literally, you know, that's what happens is it's like a force. And I'm like, well, why would you go see anyone if you really didn't believe it? Like, why are you coming? Like, why do you want to spend your money if you don't believe it? Like, you want to spend your money just to prove someone wrong? That just makes no sense to me. But people are people, and sometimes it's like that little brother that just wants to bug the shit out of you. And for me, sometimes that's a test to spirit from angels and go, are you going to believe them, or are you going to really truly stand up and be you? Right?
Absolutely. And I also want to bring up something that I didn't find out until I was middle-aged, actually, and that is that we all have our unique point of view. We all do. So there's a lot of people out there who think their reality is the reality.
Right.
Honestly, they honestly believe that. That's the same thing as believing my religion is the only religion and the rest are all wrong. Like, how do you move forward with that kind of thinking? I don't know. But I firmly believe we all have a different perspective. It's based on our genetics, our life experience, our ways of knowing and being that are all credible. And so for me, I don't argue with anybody. As soon as they have an opposing perspective, I just go, well, that's their journey, and it's not meant for me. It's actually none of my business, but their journey is their journey. But if they can't respect my journey, then I just don't want to share space with them. Why would I? You know, I just wanted to throw that out. Oh my God, we're quickly running out of time, but I wanted to throw that out there.
Well, we are energetic beings, and just like our thumbprints, our fingerprints, they're all different. So we also have a different, everyone's energetic footprint is different. That's why when someone comes to someone and says, this was like my mom's candle holder that she really loved, right? This is mine, but I'm just for example, and they bring it to someone and they ask them to hold it and say, well, what do you get from this? What is the energy that you get from this? And that's the reason why, is because we all have our own energetic footprint. And if we were all the same, no one would be able to pick this up. What kind of person they were, what they like to do with it. Did they love hummingbirds, or was it just a candle holder to them? Or was it something to do with leaves, right? Like there's all these different things where, yeah, we are all different beings. And that's why our energetic footprint is totally something else. And tunnel vision, if you believe it's all one thing and it's all the same thing, well, then you're still living linear, in my opinion, because we are not one thing. We are everything and all at once.
And
so
all
it
at
doesn't
once.
all at once, right? So if that's the case, then everyone, again, it's like falling in line, and we all have free will choice. And we don't have to fall in line to whatever anyone believes. For them, that is their truth. It might be their truth, but it's not yours.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with that. So we're almost out of time. Joan, do you have any last minute thoughts for the audience? And what are you up to? Where can people find you? All that kind of good stuff. And of course, the links will be in the description below.
Well, I think since we were talking about angels and I talked about gifts, we're just going to this will be really quick. So I'm just going to say, okay, well, an angel, whomever angel that you want, is going to give you a gift. We're going to do a 5-second thing. And okay, so if you're ready, they're going to give you a gift in 3, 2, 1. There it is. And so you tell us what your gift and what it feels like in the comments. And you can find me on Spotify. I believe Denise put all my links in the comments, and it will be down below. So my YouTube channel, which is listed there at Joan Widen, Clairvoyant Medium, and my website, joanwiden.com. And again, all my links will be at the bottom. Journey Joan is slowly coming back to life, and it's going. And Karen, take it away. Tell us all about yours.
Well, first of all, I want to tell everybody that I'm not even going to get into the reasons, but Amazon was hiding my book, my first book. They were hiding it for a whole year. They've been hiding it. And part of it was my fault because I filled out information incorrectly when I got my book published. And part of it was their fault because they went and changed the parameters for publishing and didn't bother to tell me. And so there's a whole bunch of things. But anyway, my book is now super easy to find on Amazon. Yay! So please recommend it to your friends and your neighbors and looking ahead for Christmas presents or whatever. I have Wednesday, the Quantum Guide Show, where I interview people that have something positive for humanity. And Sundays is the Aliens and Angels podcast, where I talk to other people that have had paranormal experiences like angelic contact, ET contact, interdimensional contact. And personally, the more I learn, the more I see us just being part of a great big family and phenomenon. And I want to tell you all how much a pleasure it is for me to share that with all of you and with you, Joan. I want everyone to have a wonderful week. You can find me at Karen Holton TV on most audio platforms. On the audio platforms, I'm the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton, and I have a website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. I'm a different kind of health coach. And I guess that's about it. And again, thank you, Denise, for being our fabulous moderator. You're full of so much love and wisdom, fearlessly phoenixing, Tennessee, Kentucky, Bigfoot, and Rodney. You guys are amazing. You really, really enhance this show. And
yes.
And oh, this is sweet. Rodney says, "Ta-da! Oh, love you too." And that's sweet. So I guess that's about it. Yeah, don't be afraid of angels.
We're so grateful.
Another wonderful gift to humanity. And with that, I guess we're done the show. Hope you all have a great week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.